Into the Spiderverse, which won Best Animated Feature at the 2019 Academy Awards, is largely considered to be the best comic book movie ever made, more faithfully capturing on screen the feel of reading a comic book than any other film. But the story of how Miles Morales became Spider-Man is also an excellent modern example of the hero's journey, a storytelling structure that has existed since mankind first began to tell stories around our ancestral fires. In my last video on the hero's journey, I broke down this three-part storytelling structure and explained how Joseph Campbell's theory was used by George Lucas when creating the original Star Wars. But despite its consistent structure from culture to culture, every hero's journey plays out a little differently. It is often these differences that highlight what exactly a story is trying to say. With that in mind, let's take a look at the hero's journey of Miles Morales. While Miles' ordinary world is less exotic than Luke Skywalker's desert planet, it still represents a realm that is fully known to him, navigating adolescent issues such as educational hurdles and family dynamics.
Miles!
Yeah.
Are you finished packing for school?
Yeah.
His mother, a nurse at Brooklyn General Hospital, and his father, an officer on the New York police force, are loving yet ever busy parents. But Miles, who once felt at home in his neighborhood middle school, is going through some changes when we meet him.
Why can't I go back to Brooklyn Middle?
Miles, you're giving it 2 weeks. We're not having this conversation.
I just think that this new school is elitist. And I would prefer to be at a normal school among the people.
Miles has just won a lottery intended to provide better school placement to low-income and minority children.
I'm only here because I won that stupid lottery.
No way. You passed the entry test just like everybody else, okay?
It doesn't feel like I have a choice.
You
right
don't.
We see his need for connection with his distant father as he's driven to school, and when that need for connection isn't met, we watch him turn to his uncle Aaron, the first, but not the last mentor on this journey. While this film does follow conventional hero's journey structure in regards to the mentor figure, what makes it unique is that many of the characters encountered throughout this story fall in and out of the role of the mentor, as Miles continues his search, so that we have a mentorship that is split across many characters. In fact, by the time the film ends, Miles will have gone through 3 different mentorships, each from a different archetype character in the hero's journey. Like most hero's journeys that involve a young protagonist, the primary question asked of the hero is what kind of person they want to be.
I'm assigning you a personal essay, not about physics, but about you, and what kind of person you want to be.
For Miles, answering this question involves exploring these various mentorships. The first mentor, his uncle Aaron, is a substitute father figure who has more time to teach Miles about the world than his real father. When Miles refuses to answer the question of who he wants to be as it is first posed to him, he goes to his uncle Aaron.
You know about the shoulder touch?
Of course I do. But tell me anyway.
Tomorrow, find that girl. We walk up to her and be like, hey.
You serious, Uncle Aaron?
Here, it starts to become clear that the first act of Miles' story is actually structured like a hero's journey in miniature, with a departure, threshold crossing, period of self-discovery, and return, all before the real adventure begins. Aaron, seeing Miles' reluctance to return to his schoolwork, provides him with a call to adventure.
Yo, you been holding out on me? You throw these up yet?
Nah, man. You know my dad. I can't.
Come on. I got a spot you ain't gonna believe.
Nah, I can't.
But after being thrust into the adventure, his uncle leads him to a threshold. After crossing, Miles finds himself in an underground world where he can safely explore the parts of himself that are not permitted by his father, and, by extension, all of society. Given permission to express in a way that speaks to him, Miles finally begins to answer the question. Here, Aaron has acted out the mentor role by showing Miles how to cross the threshold and explore his own psyche.
Wow.
Is it too crazy?
No, man. Miles, I see exactly what you're doing there, man. Yeah.
But this is only a temporary visit. Miles' adventure cannot begin in earnest until it comes calling for him.
let's go.
We are still in the first act of the hero's journey, the departure, but Miles has already crossed the threshold into his subconscious and returned to his ordinary world with a boon. Yet it is how this boon manifests after his return that kicks off the adventure for real, pulling him into the world of superheroes. When Miles wakes up the next morning after being bitten, things seem different. His thoughts are so loud that they begin to appear in the world around him.
I gotta get my pants. Wait, why is the voice in my head so loud? What?
All of his senses are heightened.
Can they hear my thoughts? Why are all my thoughts so loud?
As the call to adventure grows stronger and stronger, Miles resists, refusing the call in every way possible, until he is introduced, albeit indirectly, to his second mentor.
Please stop sticking. Wait. How could there be two Spider-Men? There can't be two Spider-Men. Can there? No. It's not possible. It's just puberty. It's a normal spider and I'm a normal kid.
With Miles beginning to understand the changes occurring in him, he starts to accept the call, venturing back across the threshold from his earlier adventure, without a guide this time. As he moves beyond, understanding starts to dawn on him that the depths of his previous journey were but the surface of a larger world, a larger threshold which the hero is fast descending towards. Remember that the concept of descending is used here as in many other heroes' journeys, to imply a descent into the symbolism of the subconscious. We're exploring not just another world, but the depths of Miles' mind. Here, the protagonist encounters the symbolic denizens of this strangely familiar world. Whoa! This world where the subconscious has free reign.
Norman, listen to me.
Including his second mentor figure.
Brooklyn is not zoned for that.
It's not up to me. Why won't you quit?
What is this place?
You're like me.
I don't want to be.
You're gonna be fine. I can help you. If you stick around, I can show you the ropes. I just need to destroy this big machine real quick before the space-time continuum collapses. Don't move. See you in a bit.
As he continues to descend into this superpowered world, he keeps refusing the call whenever it is presented to him.
I should go up there and help him. Who am I kidding? I should not do that.
Dooby-doo, dooby-doo. Yup-dub-dooby-doo,
It is also here that he first encounters the dragon of this story, the notorious Kingpin,
You like my new toy?
who may remind us of the dragon from another tale.
You came all this way. Watch the test. It's a hell of a freaking light show. You're gonna love this.
Once fully in the world of the adventure, the mentor presents Miles with a magical gift or talisman. Like that other tale, the loss of the mentor occurs under similar circumstances, though much earlier in the journey of Miles Morales. Right when he seems to have found the teacher he was looking for, fate rips him away, leaving him without a guide yet again. The death of Spider-Man hits New York hard, but it's also the catalyst that prompts Miles to accept his call to adventure. When he does, he begins to attire himself as his hero, attempting to learn from his teacher even after he is gone. However, it will not do. Miles needs a living mentor to guide him. It's shortly thereafter that Miles encounters his shadow self.
Hey, kid.
Now, some might argue that it's actually Peter B. Parker who fills the role of the primary mentor in this film. But it's important to remember that many elements of the hero's journey are interchangeable and even intersectional. One of the key aspects of the shadow self is that they reflect who the hero might become if they choose to act on the worst parts of their nature. They embody the very issues that lie at the center of our hero's self-discovery. This third mentor is, in essence, Miles' shadow mentor. This is further emphasized by the fact that this version of Spider-Man is in a similar state of costume. He is half in and half out of his role as the hero. In fact, we can easily tell what place the two characters are at in the journey by the state of their costume.
Oh, geez, are those sweatpants?
Yep, it's what they are.
This is amazing. You can teach me just like Peter said.
Of course, this Peter Parker does begin to mentor Miles in the ways of being Spider-Man.
Here's lesson number 1, kid. Don't watch the mouth. Watch the hands.
Yet as their journey continues and Miles undergoes more tests of character, he learns more from Peter's failings than from his guidance.
Lay your shoulders. Don't forget to follow through. Don't shoot off your back foot.
There's too many things.
Then stop listening to me.
That's the best idea you've had all day.
As the story progresses, we can start to see that Miles' road of trials, as Campbell called the adventure stage of the hero's journey, takes the form of various lessons from each mentor. A synthesis is achieved, and Miles does grow by accepting Peter as an integral part of himself.
You're amazing, man.
We're a little team. Me as the teacher who could still do it. You as the student who can do it, just not as good. I'm proud of us.
It is after this synthesis of the shadow self that Miles has his encounter with a divine beauty.
Hey guys,
Oh, you know her. Very cool.
I'm from another dimension. I mean, another dimension.
Although Miles met Gwen earlier in the film, it's not until she is encountered in her divine form that she begins to exert an influence on him, representing all that he might become if he chooses to accept the responsibility that comes with his new power. From here, Miles once again turns to the original Spider-Man, who continues to help him even from the grave.
Peter? Hey, Aunt May.
Did Peter have a place where we could make another one of these?
Follow me.
Supernatural aid usually appears in the form of unexpected assistance, and in this interpretation, it occurs when Aunt May gives the team access to Spider-Man's base of operations, allowing the arrival of more counterparts from other dimensions. With the help of this aid, Miles realizes that, although he has answered the call to adventure, he is not yet ready to face the dragon.
He's not ready, it's obvious. There's no way, he's just but if he can't do this, we have to stay and do it.
When in doubt, Miles returns to his mentor from the ordinary world, only to find that his mentor was not who he thought he was. That the ordinary world had been overlapping with the fantastic world the entire time.
You know me, sir. I don't ever quit.
In a story about mentors, it's fitting that Miles would have more than one, and experience the loss of the mentor more than once.
Miles?
You're the best of all of us, Miles. You're on your way. Just keep going. Just keep going.
Every hero in this story is on their own journey, and the loss of the mentor is all too familiar to them.
We've all been there. You know, for me, it was my Uncle Ben.
For me, it was my Uncle Benjamin.
For me, it was my father.
For me, it was my best friend.
Miles' belly of the beast is actually quite an unconventional one. While it would be easy to assume, based on the dark, ribcage structures of the sunken church, or the even deeper collider, that one or both of these are Miles' belly of the beast. In fact, Miles' deepest despair occurs in his school bedroom.
Miles, I came to say goodbye.
It is in this moment, after having his inadequacies pointed out by his peers and mentor figures, and feeling betrayed by their lack of faith in him, that his shadow mentor teaches him the most valuable lesson of his journey into self-reliance.
When will I know I'm ready?
You won't. It's a leap of faith. That's all it is, Miles. A leap of faith.
We can tell that this is the belly of the beast not by the visual symbolism of the place he's trapped in, but by the exchange that occurs while he's tied up without the ability to speak.
Miles. Miles is your dad. Please open the door.
In Campbell's original structure, it is usually the turning point of the story, in fact the very point of the story, when the hero atones with their father, either literally or symbolically.
Look, sometimes people drift apart, Miles. And I don't want that to happen to us, okay? Look, I know I don't always do what you need me to do or say what you need me to say, but I see this spark in you. It's amazing. It's why I push you, but it's yours. Whatever you choose to do with it, you'll be great.
This encounter compels Miles to sink into himself, and there encounter the truth about who he is. It is in this moment that Miles Morales dies, and is reborn as Spider-Man.
I see this spark in you. It's amazing. Whatever you choose to do with it, you'll be great.
Our family doesn't run from things.
You're the best of all of us, Miles. You're on your way. Keep going.
When do I know I'm Spider-Man? You won't. That's all it is, Miles. A leap of faith.
Like, what's up, danger? Like, what's up, danger? Can't stop me now. Travel 200 miles, I'm knocking at your door. And I don't really care if you ain't done wrong. Come on, what's up, danger? Don't be a stranger. I'm right here at your door. I won't leave. I want more. What's up, danger? Yeah, what's up, danger? 'Cause I like high chances that I might lose. I like it all on the edge, just like you. And I like tall buildings, so I can leap off of them. I go hard with it, no matter how dark. Come on, what's up, danger?
Now, Miles can demonstrate to his peers that he has learned from his tests and trials, and is ready to embody Spider-Man. The roles are now reversed, and Miles Morales as Spider-Man is now the mentor to Peter Parker.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Don't wash the mouth. Wash the hands.
Miles!
Be careful!
That was crazy. We taught him that, right?
I didn't teach him that. And you definitely didn't.
You gotta go home, man.
How do I know I'm not gonna mess it up again?
You won't.
Right. It's a leap of faith.
our hero is finally ready to face the dragon. To beat him, he has only to demonstrate one last time that he has learned from his mentor's lessons.
You ever hear the shoulder touch?
What?
Hey.
The structure of Miles' journey is tied intimately with the message of his story. The search for a teacher led Miles to a point where two journeys intersected, which themselves led to a point where another two intersected, all of them teaching him that the true source of mentorship occurs within oneself. This realization allows Miles to reflect on a much larger truth, that his story is one of many in a vast web of stories, and that his is one stop along the road of trials in a much larger tale, starring a different hero.
It's you. All of the symbols in mythology refer to you.
What is the lesson of Into the Spiderverse?
Anyone can wear the mask. You could wear the mask. If you didn't know that before, I hope you do now.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching. I know this video was a little bit on the longer side, but I really felt it was necessary to let the movie indulge in its dramatic moments. They are, after all, what makes Into the Spiderverse so fun to watch. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon. Clicking the bell is important because it's the only way you'll get notified when I upload a new video. Thanks so much for watching everyone. We'll see you in the next video.